Hey, wrestling fans. Welcome to another episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic, right here for Thursday, July 2nd, 2020. And just want to kick off this episode by saying I hope everybody had a great Canada Day yesterday, celebrating the great country of Canada. And like I said, I know a great person who's from Canada, even though I'm sure she's not listening or watching this episode right now. We're on Anchor and we're live on YouTube, the new format, trying out recording it as a podcast and a live stream on YouTube, even though I have a face that's better for audio only. And I just want to get started real quick right off the bat. Some breaking news that just broke just a little bit before I started this. Got a news alert from Ringside News that WWE has acquired ownership of Evolve. Like I said, the news just broke a little bit ago, and gonna read this from Ringside News. Had it ready. Don't know what happened here, but yes, they have acquired full ownership of Evolve Wrestling. And the deal is closed. And PW Insider has confirmed this. It is a done deal for WWE to acquire Evolve. This means a lot not only for indie wrestling, but also additions to WWE Network, or possible additions. Like I've said this before, even before they actually owned the promotion, that it would be great to see Evolve on the WWE Network. They did the one special on there, but would like to see it as a regular thing to see Evolve on the network. Of course, WWE's been working with Evolve for a while now. They've been having NXT talent on Evolve shows. I know they've had some here when Evolve has come to Livonia, and hopefully this will work out to be a good deal, not only for WWE, but also for indie wrestling and all of wrestling as a whole, the whole wrestling business. Hopefully, this will help, but we will just have to wait and see what happens. And my main reason for doing the podcast tonight, stream, whatever you want to call it, is talk about last night Dynamite, special edition of Dynamite, I should say, night one of Fyter Fest, a 2-week event. Of course, some news to come out of last night was Jon Moxley once again not able to make it to Jacksonville for Fyter Fest. I covered this last week on the podcast, but Renee Young, his wife, was one of the ones in WWE who tested positive for COVID-19. So they delayed it 2 weeks from now. It'll take place at Fight for the Fallen, the AEW World Championship match. Jon Moxley taking on Brian Cage, which hopefully he'll be able to make that for Fight for the Fallen. Should be a very good match. I'm looking forward to it. But let's get started on night one of Fyter Fest from All Elite Wrestling, special edition of Dynamite. And to start things off, we have Chris Jericho, Le Champion, starting off. He's joining commentary with Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, and Excalibur. In our first match of the night, we got Jurassic Express, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy, with Marco Stunt, of course, taking on MGF and Wardlow. This, I thought, was a good match to start off the show. Some solid action here. And it is Jurassic Express picking up the win in this one, kind of teasing some tension between MJF and Wardlow. MJF getting a little mad, saying you can't do anything right, before hitting Wardlow with the Dynamite Diamond Ring, costing his team the match. And we have Hikaru Shida, the AEW Women's Champion, defeating Penelope Ford in what I also thought was a very solid match. And the champion retains in this one. Once again, pretty solid action in this one. I was a fan of this match, to be honest. And next up, the TNT Championship is on the line. The American Nightmare Cody, who's sporting a new shirt, which I like. It's the American Nightmare, but in the old Great American Bash logo. And he defeats Jake Hager to retain the championship. Another good match. So far, a lot of good action on the first night of Fyter Fest 2020. And now we have a guest commentator. And it's someone I'm a big fan of. I don't know who isn't a big fan of this guy, but Orange Cassidy. And of course, he just sits there, doesn't say anything. And Private Party with Matt Hardy in their corner defeat Proud and Powerful. And then Jericho ends up getting into it with Orange Cassidy. That causes a pull apart. Security, referees all out to separate them. There are a lot of guys who have to hold Jericho back, and just a few have to hold Orange Cassidy back. But they will go one-on-one next week, night 2 of Fyter Fest. I honestly think that would be a very entertaining match. And I'm looking forward to that, definitely. And next week, like I said earlier, just a few moments ago, it's announced that the AEW World Championship match has been delayed. Jon Moxley and Brian Cage will now take place at Fight for the Fallen. And it is now main event time for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. The challengers, best friends, Trent Beretta and Chucky T. Sorry about that. Just Trent. And Chucky T drive up in a minivan driven by Chucky T's mom. And they take on the tag team champions, Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega. Omega and Page retain the titles in what I thought was a very good main event. So overall, a very good episode of Dynamite Fyter Fest. And looking forward to week 2 next week. TNT. If you missed night 1, you definitely don't want to miss night 2. But what I'm looking forward to next week, not only Fyter Fest, but the first ever AEW Puppy Battle Royale after Fyter Fest. I guess that's going to be at 10 on TNT. But I'm guessing what I saw the the preview yesterday, it kind of looks like a wrestling version of what Animal Planet does, the Puppy Bowl, during halftime of the Super Bowl, which the Puppy Bowl, in my opinion, is much more entertaining than the actual Super Bowl. You have cute little puppies running around playing on a football field. That's more entertaining than anything the NFL can do. But now, I wouldn't say that's more entertaining than actual pro wrestling, but to see a pro wrestling version of that with puppies, that's going to be great to see. Going to be cute. Can't wait to see that. I'm a dog lover, and obviously I love pro wrestling. How can you not like that? I don't even know how anybody could not enjoy that. Puppies in a wrestling ring, a little wrestling ring, but playing around in a wrestling ring. Who would enjoy that? If you are, or if you don't enjoy that, I think there's something wrong with you. But, well, there is something wrong with me too, but, so that was Dynamite once again. Very solid show, in my opinion. And I already talked a little bit about the news. WWE now owning Evolve. Gonna be pretty big, in my opinion. We'll just have to see how that all plays out. And some ratings news. NXT Great American Bash last night won in the ratings last night for the second week in a row, actually. Which, in my opinion, hey, NXT is great. Don't get me wrong. But, in my opinion anyway, Dynamite is the better show. That's why every Wednesday I watch AEW Live, and then I watch NXT at another time. Nothing against NXT or the talent on NXT. Like I said, it's great. They got a lot of great talent. It's a great show. Takeovers are always great, but like I said, in my opinion anyway, the better show more often than not is Dynamite. And speaking of NXT, though, I'm going to talk a little bit about last night's Great American Bash. And we have Tegan Knox defeating Dakota Kai, Mia Yim, and Candice LeRae in a fatal four-way elimination match to become the number one contender for the NXT Women's Championship. And we got an interview backstage with Damian Priest and challenges Cameron Grimes to a rematch. Timothy Thatcher, easy for me to say, he defeats Only Lorcan. And Rhea Ripley defeats Aaliyah and Robert Stone in a 2-on-1 handicap match. Dexter Lumis defeated Roderick Strong in a strap match. And in the main event of the evening, Io Shirai defeated Sasha Banks. And that was the Great American Bash from NXT. Like I said, once again, NXT defeating AEW Dynamite for the second week in a row in the ratings of Wednesday Night War, if you can call it that. And Like I said, though, both shows are always great. And let's move on to a little bit of Impact news. It was announced, some news talked about last week, though, with the whole Tessa Blanchard firing and then Michael Elgin also being let go from Impact Wrestling. It was announced that the main event has changed, obviously, and there will be a mystery superstar added to the Impact World title match to take on Eddie Edwards, Ace Austin, and Trey. There are a lot of speculation of who this is going to be. Could be somebody that was recently released from WWE not that long ago. Could it be EC3 returning? That has definitely been teased after Moose's match, his music being played. I would like to see EC3 back in Impact, to be honest. But also, we had a new tease this past Tuesday night. We saw the cape, a familiar cape of Super Eric. Could we see that superhero make his way back to Impact Wrestling? And it is being reported this week that Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson are headed to Impact Wrestling. Luke Gallows, of course, one time Dot Gallows as a part of Aces and Eights, and we have heard the rumors about maybe Aces and Eights returning to Impact Wrestling. And there's also been some speculation of Rusev making his Impact debut. But so far, all he said is that he cannot confirm or deny that he is heading to Impact Wrestling. Again, I think he'll be good at fit in Impact, but will he be in Impact? Who knows? And get back to EC3 for a quick minute. But now he is also teasing that maybe heading to AEW EC3. So who knows? We could see anybody show up in Impact. We could see anybody show up in AEW. You never know what's going to happen in the world of pro wrestling. It can sometimes be unpredictable. And before I wrap up here for 360 Wrestling Fanatic episode 206, I want to talk about, I know I've been talking about this, but I hope for maybe next week to bring back TBT Throwback Thursday. Maybe I'll change the name of it if I can think of a better one, but I was thinking, like I said, I was thinking of maybe bringing that back, talk about a past show every week, talk about a superstar from the past, talk about some of their best matches, talk about some of their best moments. If you have any suggestions of any superstars, any past shows you want me to talk about on TBT, leave it either in the comments here on YouTube or on Anchor if you can leave comments, or wherever you're listening to any podcast, podcatcher, wherever they're called. If you can leave comments on there, or the email 360 wrestling podcast at gmail.com, Instagram, send a DM or whatever it's called, 360 Wrestling Podcast on there, or Twitter. I don't check very often, but you can tweet me, DM me, whatever. 360 Wrestling Pod, I think it is. I think. I'm not sure. But I think that's the Twitter. Not even sure when the last time I checked the Twitter, but I might start checking again soon. So if you have any suggestions, you can tweet at 360 Wrestling Pod, Also, if you have any comments, questions, or anything, you can always email 360wrestlingpodcast at gmail.com. And that is all for this episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. I hope to be back soon. I've been on a pretty good streak lately. Been doing pretty good lately. Been doing episodes on a at least semi-regular basis. Because normally I would have done one, say I'm back, maybe two, and then disappear again. But lately I have been here. I've been on Anchor, been on YouTube. So, hey, and also, once again, I know I've already said it, but if you have any suggestions to improve the podcast, to improve the live stream, Throwback Thursday, whatever, anything, any suggestions are welcome. 360 Wrestling Podcast at gmail.com, the Instagram, the Twitter, the comments here on YouTube, anything, help out. But until then, I am Lance, and I am a wrestling fanatic.